Delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Agus Justianto from the Ministry of Forestry of the Republic of Indonesia, serving as Chairman of International Tropical Peatland Center, or ITPC. Indonesia is undertaking significant to better protect and manage its vast peatlands, recognizing their crucial role as carbon sinks, biodiversity hotspot, and source of livelihood. These efforts are multifaceted and involve various approaches that is Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Agus Justianto from the
Testing, testing. Testing. Testing.
Testing mic 1 2. Testing mic 1 2.
Do you need my headphones? Testing, testing. Testing, testing.
Good evening. Welcome. Please have a seat. Buenas tardes, buenas noches, bienvenidos. Los invitamos a sentarse. Bonsoir. Vous êtes invités à vous asseoir. On va commencer. Oui. We have the honor to have the presence of the Secretary General of Ramsar, Ms. Musonda Mumba. Applaud. Today we are going to applaud. If you have been in this drum restaurant, we are going to drum mainly to indicate that time is over, so we'll be ready for that. But welcome to the only event entirely dedicated to peatlands during this amazing Ramsar COP here in Victoria Falls. We are trying to do an event multilingual, so we'll be shifting from Spanish to French to English. And we are very grateful to have the presence of the Secretary General of Ramsar, knowing the busy schedule. And we were following the discussion, the voting. Coming from CITES, happy to advise on anything because I saw the request from secret ballots and everything this afternoon. And next to her is Alban Kisife from the government of Germany. He represents the donor, the champion, the country that is supporting these efforts since at least 2018. And Alban has been accompanying these efforts since the beginning. So we are very pleased to have the two of them opening the meeting. Then after that, we'll move into a couple of short presentations. And we want to have this debate as a conversation as interactive as possible. So we'll take the time to have a discussion, and we welcome all the participants from Africa, Asia, Latin America, Europe, Oceania, and the planet. Welcome. And with that, because we know how busy she is, we'll pass the floor to the Secretary General, Ms. Musonda Mumba. Have a kind of informal arrangements with people that will sit next to the Spanish speakers that need translation, just to make sure that we cover. But what we suggest is to have a summary at the end to avoid Musonda has been in Latin America. Peru is like her second house, and Peru is the one organizing this event. So thank you again. And we'll summarize at the end, but Francesca, where is Francesca? She's sitting next to the Spanish speaker panelist, and perhaps if others need interpretation in French or English or Spanish, let us know and we'll sit next to you. Okay, so.
Thank you so much, Juan Carlos. I'm really, buenos tardes, the government of Germany and Alban, who was incredibly instrumental and involved a lot in the GPI work. And I saw from quite the way he was engaged when I was at UNEP. Colleagues, I want to say, you know, when I grew up in Zambia, in the north of Zambia, there is a lake, when you look at the map of Zambia, called the Mweru Antipa. The Mweru is a big lake that we share with Congo. And the fish that comes from there, my grandmother, when we received the fish at the home, she was vegetarian, but of course she would receive the fish for the grandchildren. It was extremely dark in scale, the skin of this fish. And the fish from Samfya, from the Bangwaulu, another Ramsar site, was very light. And I was always curious, why do these fish, they look the same, but they're different? It's much later, and thanks to GPI, that I discovered the waters of Mweru Antipa are peat. So these peat systems within tropical systems, but even more delicately, in Andean systems, they're absolutely important. They are the iconic miracle workers of wetlands. Last year in July, and I really want to honor Peru because Peru is so close to my heart. I did a lot of work in Junín, in Miraflores, and all of these beautiful places. I was just blown away by the work in the Andean region. Last year in July, I went to Bali, and I was just having a conversation with the government of Bali, and they mentioned and said, you know, Musonda, we are the country of peatlands. tropical peatlands. And there was a terrible disaster in 2019 where over 4,000 people died and more were hospitalized because of peat fires. Now, what people need to understand is the intersectionality of wetlands. You cannot talk about the isolation of wetlands when they are no longer wet and what that means for human health. Extremely complex, loss of biodiversity. And this is why I'm so excited here, and thanks to Germany, thanks to Peru for hosting this important side event, because we do have also the provisions within the Scientific and Technical Review Panel that we talk about the criticalness of these ecosystems from a biodiversity perspective, from a livelihood perspective, but even more critically from a carbon perspective. These are such important ecosystems. And before I close, I just want to say, you know, one of the discussions that we've had with the IPCC is also the conversation around the re-wetting, so that it is factored into the discussions on climate, because when these systems are not re-wet, the carbon sequestering mechanism is also disrupted. I want to close by saying that as you have these conversations, I recognize that there's a lot of work that has been done in Colombia, in Peru, in the Congo, in many other places, Indonesia, Malaysia, and really a lot more other regions. But what I'm even more excited about is the peatland breakthrough. What a moment, colleagues, what a moment. This is important, and this is timely, and really a moment where we advance, but as per the title, how we can have this South-South learning. I think we should also add North-South learning, because when I met Jochen Flaschbach, he told me that now discussions in the German government on peat has been amplified. And one of the research institutions, the Graswald Institute in Germany, has been doing a lot of work in peat systems, not just in Europe, but also in the tropics, demonstrating the power of these wetland systems. So I'm really excited and really look forward to the outcomes of the discussions here, and wishing you all the very best. And super excited. I'm so glad to see Marco Paganini here from European Space Agency, because they're also really working at the mapping of some of these high Andean peat systems that are very difficult to reach, but we can also use that, you know, new tools and methodologies to be able to get the story so that it inputs into the peatland breakthrough. I'm excited. So very best, and thank you so much. Gracias, Juan Carlos.
Muchísimas gracias, Secretaria General. And just to remind all of you, 2 days ago was the National Day of Peru Independence. Congratulations to Peru, the 20th of July. Such a privilege to have the person that initiated this work in UNEP before moving to other places. Intento resumir 2 o 3 mensajes en español y en francés. Empezó este trabajo justo con Musonda en UNEP, y ella cuenta la historia de su abuela, que traía unos pescados un poco diferentes, están un poco más oscuros, y lo que explica eso es que venían justo de ese lago que queda en la frontera entre Zambia y Congo, que vienen de las turberas, de las turbas. Turberas es un término además que en español no se usan muchos términos: aguajales, morichales, bofedales, oconales. Same in French. But para la Secretaría General, las turberas son un ecosistema icónico, complejo. Perú es muy cercano a su corazón, pero también estuvo en Bali discutiendo esto, y menciona el desastre de 2019, cuando murieron más de 4,000 personas por incendios de turberas, porque cuando la turbera se seca es carbón fosilizado que se incendia muy rápidamente. Entonces ella está hablando también de la necesidad que planteó en el IPCC de rehumedificar las turberas, si lo puedo traducir así, que rewetting de peatlands, porque si no se va a distorsionar mucho el secuestro de carbono. Y en ese sentido, a ella le parece muy excitante la iniciativa del Peatlands Breakthrough. No tenemos una buena traducción en español, pero es como el avance decisivo sobre las turberas. Y este es un momento crucial, es el momento, y no solamente quisiera ver que hablemos de Sur-Sur, cooperación Sur-Sur, que tenemos toda esa línea ecuatorial, desde los Congos pasando por la Amazonía hasta Indonesia, toda ese bosque tropical, pero también las turberas del norte. Tengo mi colega de Irlanda, justo estuve hace un par de semanas allá. Alemania está haciendo mucho por las turberas europeas también, y ella le agradece a Alemania por estar apoyándonos, acompañándonos aquí, y a la agencia espacial, a Marco. ¿Dónde está Marco? ¿Marco? Paganini, que hace un trabajo muy importante. Hemos publicado el Atlas de las Turberas, el Atlas Global el año pasado, y ahora vamos a movernos a los Atlas, mapas nacionales de turberas. Así que toda esa capacidad de la agencia espacial es muy necesaria. Un resumen un poco largo en español, y en francés je vais donner la explication à Patricia du Congo. La ministre du Congo est l'ambassadrice de Tourbière. Elle est une force de la nature, et elle a été très engagée depuis le début. La déclaration de Brazzaville, c'était la première réunion globale de l'Initiative Mondiale de Tourbière, et on s'est réunis au mois d'avril à Brazzaville. Elle a ratifié son engagement, et nous avançons avec quelques actions qu'on va expliquer plus tard. Avec ça, je vous demande de donner encore un round d'applaudissements pour le secrétaire général of Ramsar. Thank you again. And we move to Alban from the government of Germany, that has been the godfather, the accompanying this initiative since the beginning. Alban, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening to everyone in the room. I'm Alban Kisife from the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, Climate Action, Nature Protection, and Nuclear Safety. I want to begin by thanking immensely the organizers of this site event, the point in case, the government of Peru, closely accompanied by United Nations Environmental Program, but then also the battery of GPI partners, that's the Global Peatlands Initiative partners, some of whom are actually also in the room: Colombia, the DRC, Republic of Congo, but then also Mongolia and Colombia. And I'm actually very happy to be part of this site event today in this, I would say, for wetlands, a very important city of Victoria Falls. Now, actually, the scene where we find ourselves, wetlands, there's this saying that goes, all peatlands are wetlands, but not all wetlands are peatlands. So you find ourselves very well situated in this context here on the Ramsar COP15, here where we are deliberating on the future of wetlands, and this also encompasses the peatlands that form a subset of wetlands in this endeavor. So permit me to actually do a reflection of what Germany has been, like I would say, or has been in the past with regards to peatlands. Unfortunately, I'm very, very going to disappoint you with what we are as far as peatlands are concerned at this level. 92% of Germany's peatlands have been drained. But why am I saying this? I'm saying this simply because we have learned from our mistakes. We've learned from our mistakes, and we know very well that it is way more costly to re-wet peatlands than to maintain peatlands intact. So this is the reason why I'm really very happy that we could be able to support the Global Peatlands Initiative, which as one of its key aspects is the South-South cooperation between countries to actually exchange on best practices on rewetting peatlands, but then on also sustainably managing peatlands. And like Dr. Muzonda Mumba actually mentioned, this is not just out of interest for the countries that are part of the Global Peatlands Initiative. This is also in our vested interest, because we're going to learn from you on which best practices actually occur in the rewetting of peatlands, maybe in Indonesia, for example. I know very much that so much work has been done on rewetting peatlands, but then also in combination with mangroves and so on. So it is not just in Germany's interest actually fund these projects or these initiatives, because we are at the same time we are learning from these initiatives and from these projects. So it is something like a win-win situation. So I really don't want to push this at the forefront that Germany is actually funding these projects. We are also benefiting from these projects in a multilateral system in which we find ourselves today. So in effect, we've launched a national action program on nature-based solutions, which also encompasses a peatland strategy, where we are actually now investing about 4 billion euros in rewetting, in restoring peatlands in Germany. So like I said, this is an initiative which also is geared towards learning from what we are financing in these countries, to be able to inform decision-making in Germany, so that we can also be able to live up to standards. So this is one of the aspects I really want to point out here today in this opening statement. So the peatland breakthrough is one of those highlights I would also want to mention here. Having a global initiative on how to actually engage in restoring peatlands globally is something which the German government definitely would like to support in its entirety, because this is actually the goal. I did not want to give a lecture here on the importance of peatlands, on the importance of biodiversity, on the importance of carbon, for example, on the importance of climate adaptation, everything which has to do with the peatlands, the wetlands, as I say, in combination. I did not need to emphasize them here. But then the peatlands breakthrough, which is an initiative which spearheaded by the Global Peatlands Initiative, is one of those, I would say, landmarks which we as the German government would want to see to it that it reaches the ends of where we have peatlands in the world. I had the opportunity to be, for example, in Brazzaville during the field mission of one of our IKI projects also, which has to do with restoring, not really restoring, I would say, conserving the pristine peatlands of the Lactele, Lactuma, of the Cuvette Centrale in the Congos. These are peatlands that are still in their pristine nature. So if we actually engage on conserving these peatlands, like I said, learning from our examples, not actually draining them, we stand a good chance of actually working against the three planetary crises which we have at hand. So I don't want to take so much of your time, but then I'm very happy to be part of this site event today. Unfortunately, I would have to leave immediately after my intervention, because we're having, I'm actually also in my capacity here as a national focal point for wetlands in Germany. So we're having actually, as we speak, contact groups on very decisive draft resolutions on the strategic plan, for example, but then also on technology transfer and all whatnot. So I would like to crave on your indulgence that you could carry on the discussions. I'll get back to you and Carlos after my intervention to actually find out how the discussions ensured. But like I said, Germany's support, you can count on Germany's support as far as this is concerned. We stand as allies in peatland protection, in wetland rewetting. And to finish, we just launched a call on wetland protection in Africa, which would be featuring a series of projects in Africa on wetland restoration and management. So this is one of those contributions we are making specifically for African countries in this context, wherein they have funding from the German government to restore, to sustainably manage, and also to conserve their peatlands. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Alban Kisifi, and Good luck with the ongoing negotiations, all the best. But before you leave, can we take a photo with the panelists? And you have something to refresh yourself from Peru? Can the panelists? And this is the national drink in Peru. You want to explain?
Me ayudes. Primero, agradecerles por acompañarnos y liderar esta mesa, este side events. Y desde el ministro del Ambiente y la viceministra, muchas gracias. En mi calidad de director de diversidad biológica, les hago presente, no hay chilenos, ¿no? ¿Hay chilenos? Les hago presente un pisco.
Gracias.
Pisco peruano, este es de la variedad Torentel y este es un pisco de la variedad Italia.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
The director of Forests of Peru is bringing these 2 bottles to celebrate the success of the Ramsar Convention, and from Peru, and we invite all the panelists for a photo. There is also a country very close to our heart, which is the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and we have the representative here as well. And we have 4 partners. Where is Maria? We have FAO, Wetlands International, the Ramsar Secretariat, and UNEP are here to support you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Secretary General, thank you very much. Muchas gracias, Dr. Kisife. Good luck, all the best. Thank you. Please don't forget your bottles, otherwise. And we hope to see a peatlands resolution at COP15 and a global wetlands program at the GEF probably in the coming cycle. So thank you again for that. And we'll continue with the program. We have been talking about the Peatlands Breakthrough and the Global Peatlands Initiative. Perhaps some of you are familiar, others are not that familiar. So we are going to make 2 big, quick presentations, starting by the Global Peatlands Initiative, and my colleague Siska will give this presentation. Siska, please go ahead.
Hola, bonjour, buenas tardes, hello. My name is Siska Devro. I'm from Ireland, a country with many peatlands and bogs, 1/5 of the country, but unfortunately 80% degraded, more than 80%. Peatlands are a super-powered ecosystem, a very swampy and special wetland. They're an ecosystem that is always in waterlogged conditions, where the plant matter only semi-decomposes. So this allows for peat to accumulate very slowly, usually just 1 millimeter per year, creating a very dense carbon store. They only cover 3% of the Earth's land surface, but they store twice as much carbon as all forest and land biomass. But unfortunately, they're under threat from agriculture, industry, extraction, and now this carbon is being released at very high amounts, actually up to 5%, which is more than shipping and aviation industries combined. But further than that, peatlands are more than just carbon. They're also home to rare and special biodiversity. They mitigate against floods and fires. They're very important for livelihoods. And they're also ingrained in our culture and our heritage. So the stakes are high. So this is why we need global partnerships for peatlands. So in 2016 at the UNFCCC COP in Morocco, the Global Peatlands Initiative was launched. It has a membership of over 64 different partners and 6 focal countries. You can see we cover all corners of the globe, and still room for more. Our partner countries are here today, so Colombia, Peru, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Indonesia and Mongolia. We're based in South-South and also triangular cooperation, which is why we had the attendance also of Alban. South-South cooperation is technical cooperation between countries from the global South, and this is very important for creating new ideas, concrete plans, and driving innovation for specific problems. You can see here from the Global Peatlands Initiative, we championed the Brazzaville Declaration with Peru, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Indonesia, which led to the establishment of the International Tropical Peatland Center, and furthermore has been celebrated as an example of South-South collaboration across the UN and across all global platforms through the GPI. So the Global Peatlands Initiative, we have 3 main pillars. Of course, the basis is science. What we do is evidence-driven. In 2 years ago, the Global Peatlands Assessment was launched, a collaboration with exactly 226 world-class scientists came together to create the first global assessment of peatlands. And since then, we've also developed, launched at COP15, the Global Peatland Hotspot Atlas. Then the next step is to translate this science into policy to support the NDCs, the MBSAPs, as well as grassroots policies such as the Venice Agreement. And this all leads to action, so mobilizing resources at scale, such as the Peatlands Breakthrough. We have the development of European Peatlands Initiative, Patagonian Peatlands Initiative, Mongolian Peatlands Initiative, from all of these partners. So what's next? Now we're in a new phase of the Global Peatlands Initiative, where we want to expand this membership. We want to develop the Global Hotspot Atlas into national maps. We will continue the national policy and planning support, particularly for our new countries, Mongolia and Colombia, and also develop a 10 years peatland plan, which is in complementary also with our Peatlands Breakthrough. So right now with this 10-year peatland strategy, we're in the development phase. So we have been over the last year began preparing it. Now we will develop it, and then hopefully over the next 10 years until 2036, implement and amplify this plan. And that's part of the reason why we're here today, that this is a consultative process with our members, with our partner countries. So we want to co-create this 10-year strategy. So with that, I also pass on more to our roundtable to hear from our partners, so we can continue this together. Thank you. But before we go into our roundtable, I'd like to present Dr. Julie Malonga from Wetlands International to present about a very important initiative, the Peatland Breakthrough.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. You heard Musonda talking about something exciting called the Peatlands Breakthrough. So today I'm going to present the Peatlands Breakthrough. So basically when you talk of a breakthrough, the clicker? Basically when you talk of a breakthrough, you talk of a moment that really marks something very significant, a transformation, either in the economic sector or the environmental sector. So as we talk about this breakthrough, let's keep that at the back of our minds. So basically it's a global call to action to restore, to protect, and really enhance the wise use of peatlands. As you heard, peatlands are actually the next frontier. This is our opportunity to actually unite really around shared goals in terms of peatlands. So this initiative is part of the breakthrough agenda under the UN Climate Change High-Level Champions, which really aims to accelerate action across key sectors for a 1.5 degrees centigrade aligned world. Next. So basically, as you see in the slide, peatlands are actually climate champions. They regulate water, they are biodiversity hotspots, and they are livelihood providers, all these different things. Protecting and restoring peatlands is therefore not only essential for our climate goals, but also for our biodiversity goals. They actually store up to 1/3 of the world's soil carbon, double the carbon actually found in the world's forests, and most carbon-dense terrestrial ecosystems. So when they are degraded, they emit a lot of carbon. They become fire-prone, as you've heard, and they actually undermine the local resilience. So as you see in that graph, peatlands cover 3% of the land surface, and 12 to 15% have actually been degraded. So this degradation represents only 0.4% of the land surface and has turned peatlands from carbon sinks into major sources of greenhouse gas emissions. So of course this contributes to about 5% of all global greenhouse gas emissions, as you can see from the figure. Next slide. So the peatland breakthrough is currently being led by these different organizations, which includes Wetlands International, the Nature Conservancy, UNEP, Global Environmental Center, Greifswald-Meyer Center, the Landscape Finance Lab, FAO. So all these, and then we are collaborating with different organizations, which includes the Global Peatlands Initiative and the Ramsar Convention. So we are also identifying champion countries who are committed to leading by example. So actually integrating peatlands into policy, inspiring action, and supporting in mobilizing finance for peatlands. Next slide, please. So you can see there a very beautiful picture, I don't know how clear it is, of a peatland in central Kalimantan, one of the areas that Wetlands International works in. We know that this vision is very ambitious when it comes to the peatlands breakthrough, but it's necessary. So we want to bring out peatlands as very essential partners for climate, for biodiversity, for water, for livelihoods, and not portray them as environmental liabilities. So the breakthrough will actually help us focus all our energy, help us focus our investment on a very clear and very shared pathway to impact on the ground and land, to actually bring impact on the ground, and also bring this transformation that we need. So we also hope that we'll bring together not only governments, but businesses, indigenous peoples, different communities. So we want to channel resources to actually where they are needed and where they will have an impact and where there'll be scale up. Next slide. So where are we with this peatlands initiative? So we started off with the development phase, the phase 1. So this is actually the groundwork stage. So we focused on really building foundations that are really needed to launch this peatland breakthrough with really strong political, scientific, and financial backing. And then, of course, now we are really actively engaging all the different policy makers, the leaders, the potential champions, some of them who you can see here, in all these key countries. So you've had all the key countries, you've had Peru, you've had Congo. And then, of course, our framework will really be rooted in very robust science. We'll shape it by making sure there's inclusivity, everybody is engaged in this. There's a lot of collaboration with different experts and practitioners. For us, credibility and consensus is very key. And then, of course, we're expanding beyond all those traditional actors. So not looking at the normal culprits, so looking out there, proactively bringing in very new and influential voices who can help accelerate system-wide change. And then, of course, the last but very essential part of this development phase is a financial strategy, because, of course, if we need to get this work moving, we need to have a financial roadmap. So now by COP 2030, what we are aiming for is to formally launch this peatland breakthrough 2 weeks ahead of the COP 30. So really setting the stage for high-level engagement and momentum. So once launched, we'll shift into execution, driving impact through very tangible projects and solutions. So we are developing a pipeline of investment-ready projects that translate high-level goals into very measurable on-the-ground outcomes. And then success actually depends on these mix of enablers, different people, unlocking the finance, aligning all these policy frameworks, and actually scaling our proven practices. So we intend to also strengthen the advocacy and the visibility, and lastly, drive some, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. So really focusing locally led leadership and context-specific pathways. Next. So here you can see what we envision as the governance. So I won't go deeply into that. So having a steering group, then having different working groups. So one will be on targets and knowledge, partners, engagement and advocacy, resource mobilization, and then communications. Then lastly, of course, we are building a growing coalition. We are starting off. The wheels are rolling. So if you or your organization want to be part of this journey, please connect with us. Let's really turn into this momentum into something measurable, some measurable progress for peatlands. So we do have some email addresses there, and we have the contacts. Siska is one of them. Then from Wetlands International, we have Cynthia Soto. So welcome to the Peatlands Breakthrough, and I hope you can join us to turn peatlands around. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mulonga. And you see these two initiatives are complementary, and they are aligned with the GBF. Target 2, Target 3 of the GBF are very relevant for this, but also with the work under the Climate Change Convention, the UNFCCC, and the NDCs and the Paris Agreement. With that, we would like to move to the panel now and to have a conversation with you. We have Brazil, we have Cuba, we have African countries here. I see people, Dr. Musonda mentioned something important for us is the work on nature-based solutions, and I see some of the colleagues that attended some of our workshops on nature-based solutions for wetlands. We have the academy, we have the youth. With that, I hope that we can have a short but initial conversation that I think that Peru has an announcement to make at the end of the meeting that will be interesting for us. So stay until the end. And with that, I'm pleased to announce the panel. Director Marco Antonio Arenas from Peru. Mr. Jean-Jacques Bambuta from the Republic Democratic of Congo. He will speak in English today, but he is free to say a few words in French if he needs to send a message to the neighbor. We have a video then from Indonesia, Agus Justianto, and we We say hello to all the people that is following us on YouTube right now. Probably many in Spanish because it's the Peruvian channel. So thank you for following us, and we'll provide a summary and the two presentations to all of you. I think we have this in different language, at least that you can follow. And then we have Patricia will be sitting here, but in case you have questions from Congo, she will have an opportunity to have the floor. And we have Oscar Manrique from the government of Colombia. He's the focal point for wetlands, el punto focal para humedales del Ministerio de Medio Ambiente de Colombia. We have one question, but you are free also to comment on this. So short responses to invite a discussion, a conversation between governments, at least for UNEP. These two initiatives are member-driven. The role of the government is central, is very important, and they are the ones guiding us on the priorities and on the policies, planning, legislation that they are working on to make of peatlands the priority that we should have at the national, subnational, and global levels. So the question for all of you is, so Francisca will move here, and Oscar as well, just to have the Spanish side and the don't feel alone, Jean-Jacques and Patrick. Perhaps Maria, because Maria, FAO is an important partner for us on this. If Maria and Patricia can move to that side, yeah, just in case. Si vous voulez bouger à côté de Jean-Jacques, donc on a la FAO qui est notre partenaire dans le système des Nations Unies pour cette initiative. Et je disais, la question is, what is your country doing, and your organizations, for those that are representing NGOs, academy, communities, indigenous people, what is your country organization doing to better protect and manage peatlands, and how can working together through the global cooperation, mainly these two initiatives, the Global Peatland Initiative and the Peatland Breakthrough, with other countries, help make these efforts stronger? La tengo en español, la voy a leer en español, sé que ya la traducí, pero ¿qué está haciendo su país o su organización para proteger y gestionar mejor las turberas? Es medio portuñol también para ustedes. ¿Y cómo puede la colaboración a través de la cooperación global con otros países contribuir a reforzar estas iniciativas? Vamos a comenzar con Marco. We'll start with Peru, and Marco, you have the floor. Let's say 2-3 minutes and to allow for the others to respond. Thank you.
Primero, nuevamente agradecer a CISCA, Juan Pablo, a UNEP y a PENUMA por todo, la FAO por todo el apoyo en la organización de este Side Events y permitir que Perú desarrolle un mecanismo de articulación en este ejercicio de las turberas. El mensaje mío va a estar asociado a dos tipos de turberas, ¿no? Las turberas amazónicas y las turberas altoandinas. Sí, porque ese es el ejercicio en el caso peruano, sobre el cual creo que comenzamos a desarrollar en 6 puntos, o mi intervención va a estar asociada a 6 puntos en virtud a lo que indica el moderador. Los últimos años Perú ha venido desarrollando una vasta serie de normas o un marco jurídico asociado a un tema de documentos estratégicos en favor de los humedales, desde la delimitación o desde la cuantificación o desde una mirada que tengamos sobre el territorio con humedales. Y ahí voy al segundo elemento. El segundo elemento que creo que es clave es esta mirada que le vamos teniendo en el caso peruano, esta mirada integral. Si ustedes se fijan, estamos dando lecturas al mismo ecosistema, lecturas asociadas a cambio climático, a carbono, estamos dando lecturas a este mismo ecosistema hacia aprovechamiento sostenible por comunidades locales, estamos dando sobre ese mismo espacio a reportes a la meta 3 o a la meta 30x30, cuando en realidad es la misma unidad de ecosistema. Entonces, estamos dando una mirada integral al ecosistema y parte del ejercicio está asociado al cuarto elemento. Cómo las NDC establecidas en el marco de la Convención de Cambio Climático y las metas de Kunming-Montreal, en especial la meta 2 y 3, comienzan a tener en el marco de la iniciativa de Champions un solo mecanismo de reporte, un solo mecanismo de mostrar lo que se trabaja en el humedal, con una diversidad de servicios ecosistémicos sobre los cuales se muestran carbono, mantenimiento de biodiversidad, alimento para las poblaciones locales. Entonces, y creo que el ejercicio que muestra Perú en esa lógica, con una NDC o una NDC de Tuberas, la meta 3 asociada alrededor de los 6 millones de hectáreas en humedales, casi todos cubiertos con alguna figura de conservación, desde parques nacionales a un sitio Ramsar como una OMEX, o territorios indígenas. ¿Sí? Y para terminar, queda claro, para el caso peruano, las OMEX, en esa figura de no pristino o no tocar, queda claro que la mejor estrategia de conservación es el uso, el uso sostenible o el manejo sostenible de la turbera por parte de las poblaciones locales. Entonces, gran parte del desafío está en ese ejercicio, y quiero terminar solo precisando de la importancia que tiene para el Perú y de que asumamos un liderazgo en el marco de ser uno de los países champions o país campeón en el avance o en la aceleración de manejo de turberas, en los cuales ya la viceministra la semana pasada, en la inauguración del encuentro de ministros, marcó el desafío del gobierno peruano para asumir este liderazgo. Muchas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias, señor director. Francesca, no sé si puedes resumir los puntos centrales.
Seguro. Entonces,
¿Puedes apagar ese micrófono? Director, gracias.
So he started by thanking all the partners for this opportunity, and he was saying that there are two different peatlands at the level of the Amazon, at the level of the high Andes, and then he was stressing very much that the importance of having this holistic approach. I mean, I'm summarizing very much, but he was mentioning that all the discussion about climate and biodiversity and everything, they all go in the same direction somehow. And so that there is basically one reporting mechanism on carbon, biodiversity, and they all talk to each other. And then he was stressing the importance of looking at peatlands where the best strategy is the sustainable use of peatlands, and that for Peru, the peatlands are super important to the point that the Vice Minister recently has stated the commitment towards the peatland breakthrough, more or less.
Thank you. Yes, applause. Thank you. Two key words we are registering. Una mirada integral, nada más difícil que aprender a mirar, an integral look at the problem, and the importance of the use as a solution. Don't touch prohibiting everything, since Adam and Eve is not working normally. So good. We move to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Dr. Jean-Jacques Bambuta, you have the floor. Same question, same time to respond.
Stand up because what I would like to share with you will just coming from my legs. Okay, in DRC, since 7 years, we are focusing on peatland by looking response on 3 key questions. The first one is, where can we find peatland in DRC? And the second one is, what is the extent of this peatland? And the last one is, what kind of policy and value that we can develop talking about peatland. Now, when we are talking about the localization of peatland, we know that we have one of the important peatland in the central basin of Congo. But we have also peatland in mangrove, in Katanga pattern, in the eastern part of DRC, and also in the central part of the DRC. But at this level, the knowledge development is just concerning the central basin and the mangrove. We are talking at this moment about 200,000, more than 200,000 quarter kilometers of peatland. It means also we need responsibility. It means that we have to develop policy. This is why at this moment we are building a national peatland policy. But the problem is everywhere where we can find peatland in DRC, we have also oil under peatland. The problem is how can we be focusing only on conservation by ignoring the oil that can bring money for the government, for local communities and indigenous. This is why our strategy, a peatland strategy that is on the building, will just focusing on two poles. The first one is to conserve a peatland for nature, and the second is to conserve peatland for people. I can also share some information about what kind of initiative that can be useful for all of us in terms of cooperation. We know that since some years we have what we are calling a Declaration of Brazzaville, which can allow us to make or to implement activities not only to the side of DRC, but also taking into account the peatland that can be to the other side of the river Congo. It means that we have to work together. Coming back to the South-South cooperation, since some years we have been focusing with Indonesia on knowledge building, focusing on peatland la cartographie, peatland mapping, but we have also the humans that are living in this landscape. So we need also studies that can show us what people are doing exactly in this peatland. We have also to bring other partners. They were talking about the initiative here, but we know that also in Africa we have, for example, a Nile basin in which we can find peatland. How can we bring all those countries for the common action? This is what we are looking for. This is what we are waiting for when we are talking about this dynamic on South-South cooperation. I think at this level, this is what I can share. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bambuta. Focal point for wetlands, DRC, can I say as well? Peatlands, peatlands. You know how many kind of wetlands we have? The experts? Wetlands, peatlands is one of the several, 7, 9 in the planet, yeah. There are several kind of wetlands, mangroves, lakes, peatlands, type of wetlands, types, but yeah. That's something that you will tell me after we present a video from Indonesia. We don't translate into Spanish because you are having live interpretation. That's okay for the others, yeah? But DRC is a giant, like Brazil in South America. DRC is the giant in Africa. Huge country, very rich, 9 bordering countries. You have borders with 9 countries, and you have a very important role on leading this since the beginning of the initiative. Thank you, Mr. Bambuta, for being here and for being consistent. You have been accompanying this trajectory since a very long time. Thank you for that. Is the video ready? So please, we are going to have a video from Agus Justianto from the Ministry of Indonesia. He wasn't able to be here with us, but we have his message.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Agus Justianto from the Ministry of Forestry of the Republic of Indonesia, serving as Chairman of International Tropical Peatland Center, ITPC. Indonesia is undertaking significant to better protect and manage its vast peatlands, recognizing their crucial role as carbon sinks, biodiversity hotspot, and source of livelihood. These efforts are multifaceted and involve various approaches that is developing and strengthening regulation, policies, and technical guidelines for peatland protection and management, including government regulation on peatland protection, establishing the Peatland Ecosystem Protection and Management Plan 2020 to 2049, establishing Peatland and Mangrove Restoration Agency in 2016, which is mandated to coordinate and facilitate the restoration of the graded peatlands with a target of 1.2 million hectares from 2021 to 2024 through rewetting, revegetation in degraded and burned peatlands, and revitalization of livelihood programs through supporting communities in developing sustainable economic alternatives that are peatland friendly. We are working together with other countries is crucial for strengthening Indonesia's peatland management efforts due to the transboundary nature of climate change and environmental issues and the shared global significance of peatland that is establishing ITPC in Bogor, Indonesia, with the Republic of Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Peru. The ITPC serves as a vital platform, sharing knowledge, research, and best practices among governments, practitioners, and stakeholders globally. Indonesia actively uses ASEAN countries and other international partners to support the ITPC. We have a collaboration with international research institutes like C4ICRAF and the Nature Conservancy, who conduct research, implement projects, and share expertise on peatland restoration and sustainable management. We are promoting shared understanding and commitment to peatland conservation on the international stage, as evidenced by Indonesia sponsoring the resolution on conservation and sustainable peatland management in UNEA 4. As peatland fires in Indonesia often cause transboundary haze affecting neighboring countries, international cooperation is essential for collaborative efforts in fire prevention, monitoring, and response. We are establishing ASEAN Coordinating Center for Transboundary Haze Pollution Control in Jakarta, Indonesia, to combat the recurring problem of transboundary haze. Peatland restoration is a key climate mitigation strategy to achieve Indonesia's nationally determined contribution and forestry and other land use of value net sink 2030 target. Indonesia enhanced NDC include clear targets to restore 2 million hectares of peatland and rehabilitate 12 million hectares of degraded lands by 2030. Indonesia is restoring and rewetting peatlands at a national scale, linking these efforts to climate commitments, biodiversity conservation, and community well-being. Challenges persist in protection level and implementation capacity. Indonesia's extensive and often challenging experience in peatland management offer invaluable insights and practical lessons that can significantly shape and align with global peatland strategies, particularly the Global Peatland 10-Year Strategy and the Peatland Breakthrough. Working within frameworks like the Global Peatland Initiative, ITPC, and regional exchanges, Indonesia is contributing technical leadership and scaling models for restoration and community engagement. South-South and triangular cooperation are essential to access finance, share innovation, harmonize global peatland goals, and driving collective impact in global peatland efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's send him a big thank you from here. He may be awake in Jakarta, but he pronounced a very important word there is ITPC, the International Tropical Peatland Center, that we expect to be a center for all the countries on the equatorial line to exchange information. And he is also referring to something very important for all of us, which is the fires, los incendios forestales, los incendios de peatlands. And if you Google that on your laptops, Indonesia peatlands fires, you will have plenty of information there. Thank you for that again. And we'll move now to Patricia Okempa. We were in Kribi, Cameroon a few weeks ago, and now we are here to listen, to hear from l'expérience du Congo-Brazzaville. On a entendu parler de la déclaration de Brazzaville. Patricia, si tu peux nous partager un peu de ce que le Congo fait comme effort pour la conservation des tourbières.
Merci.
Tu as la parole.
Je voulais partager l'expérience de la République du Congo dans le domaine des tourbières. En fait, cela est né après la déclaration de la 3e réunion des partenaires à l'Initiative Mondiale sur les tourbières. Qu'est-ce que la République du Congo a eu à faire par la suite? C'est que nous avons inscrit tout un titre qui prend en compte la gestion durable des tourbières dans la loi portant gestion durable de l'environnement en République du Congo. Il s'agit de la loi 033 du 17 novembre 2023. Madame la ministre en charge de l'environnement, dans ce même volet, a eu à mettre en œuvre un projet, à inscrire dans le JEF7 un projet portant mise en œuvre du projet conservation intégrée des écosystèmes des tourbières et promotion de l'écotourisme. Dans ce projet, les tourbières ont été prises en compte comme écosystème particulier et les activités sont en train d'être mises en œuvre. Dans ces activités, cela inclut l'élaboration des politiques, la stratégie qui sont prises en compte comme des composantes. Je parlerai également d'un autre projet que nous menons en collaboration avec la RDC. Il s'agit d'un projet nommé « Sécuriser les réserves cruciales de biodiversité, de carbone et d'eau dans les tourbières du bassin du Congo ». Grâce à une prise de conscience, grâce à une prise de décision éclairée et une bonne gouvernance, ce projet est financé par IKI. Je noterai également un projet sur la définition des tourbières que le ministère est en train de mener avec l'appui de la FAO. Nous avons, avec l'appui de CAFI, nous sommes en train de mettre en œuvre un projet portant programme d'utilisation durable des terres. Dans ce programme d'utilisation durable des terres, les tourbières font partie d'une composante. Dans ce programme, il est mentionné que nous allons faire une cartographie des tourbières qui sont sur le territoire national. Parce que, hormis les tourbières de la cuvette centrale, nous en avons aussi dans plusieurs départements du pays. Bon. Comme autre activité, en lien avec les tourbières, nous avons la validation du rapport d'évaluation des besoins et des priorités dans le domaine de recherche. Nous avons, il y a peu, l'appui de la JICA pour l'installation d'un laboratoire afin de nous appuyer dans l'analyse des tourbes. Bon, en termes de collaboration, nous sommes en train de collaborer avec l'Indonésie, la RDC. Plusieurs partenaires sont en train d'appuyer le pays. C'est tout comme expérience.
Merci beaucoup. Excellent. Elle était invitée à la dernière minute, donc elle est rapide. Thank you very much. A lot going on in that region and in Congo regarding perhaps they are a bit in advance in relation to others. That's for the discussion here. I may be wrong, but they are already working on the legislation. They have, well, others mentioned legislation as well, but they have an entire chapter of the law dedicated to the peatlands. The law was adopted in 2023, and they are now, and this is important because we are discussing JEF9 now, they have a project financed by JEF7 that includes peatlands, and they are trying also to identify solutions, livelihoods for people, so they are working on ecotourism as one of the promotion of ecotourism and as one of the alternatives. They are also working on a project financed by IKI that is on the decision making, taking into account carbon sequestration, water, and other elements. So these two projects are integrated, and UNEP is supporting them. And they are also a model on transboundary cooperation. They are working with DRC and with other countries, including Indonesia and others. They have projects, and she mentioned something important for the discussion, the cartography, the maps. They are working on maps with the support of a project, and they have also a lab financed by JICA, the Japanese corporation, to analyze the pit and perhaps understand better the composition of these pits. Thank you again, Patricia, for coming. And so we are in this tour of the world. Now we are back to Latin America, and we'll end with Colombia. Y le paso la palabra a Oscar Manrique, el especialista de humedales y punto focal Ramsar del Ministerio del Medio Ambiente de Colombia.
Muchas gracias por la invitación. Buenas noches, creo que ya es good afternoon, good night, good evening, hay tanto. Pero parte de lo que les quería comentar era precisamente el hecho de que hay actividades, acciones y gestión que nos están uniendo. Y parte de eso es la razón de ser del Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible de Colombia, del cual hago parte. Nosotros generamos política e instrumentación normativa. Eso implica que somos quienes damos esa orientación a nivel general para el país. Y en ese marco vamos precisamente con algo que nos comentó Alemania al inicio de esta conversación, y es que es más económico conservar que restaurar, rehabilitar, rehumidificar. Eso implica a que hay que generar los mayores esfuerzos en esa área, que es más fácil de cumplir. Al interior de Colombia, ¿cómo lo estamos haciendo? Hicimos un ejercicio de más de 10 años con los institutos de investigación, con las autoridades ambientales regionales, con los gobiernos locales, con los expertos nacionales y con las comunidades para identificar los humedales en Colombia. Pero es identificarlos no solamente como espejo de agua, sino funcionalmente. ¿Qué indica ello? No solamente identificamos la fotografía del humedal, sino su comportamiento, cómo se desplaza, hasta dónde se inunda y cómo se contrae. Esa es la base en términos de conocimiento para tener el punto de partida en Colombia. Eso implica que tenemos el primer paso. Estamos hasta ahora identificando los humedales, y ya nos decían, los humedales no son todos turberas. ¿Cuál es la proyección que tenemos en términos de acción? Es empezar por el primer paso. Identifiquemos las turberas, que en el marco de la política y la instrumentación normativa las podemos empezar a proteger, que es más económico que restaurarla. Primer paso. Como hasta ahora estamos trabajando o trabajamos en la identificación de humedales, requerimos generar esfuerzos mancomunados con los otros países. ¿Para qué? Generación de conocimiento, el primer pilar. Y ese lo hacemos no solamente desde lo local, sino también desde lo nacional. ¿Y con quién lo hacemos? Lo hacemos con toda nuestra estructura, pero algo que sí se requiere es que estemos en completo diálogo y articulación entre todos los países. Si podemos identificarlas y tenemos el mismo lenguaje, podemos hacer análisis de carácter regional y generar acuerdos y decisiones en el marco de eso. No de lo que haga Colombia para Colombia, sino de lo que hagamos como iniciativa global mundial entre todos para luego dar el siguiente paso, y ya es ir hacia la gestión. Nuestros amigos nos estaban relatando experiencias. Para eso tenemos que caracterizar lo que hay. Hay ejercicios comunitarios que son espectaculares y nosotros estamos trabajando en el marco de la política y de la norma con la base que son las comunidades. Estamos generando conocimiento con las comunidades y esto está orientado hacia la apropiación del conocimiento. Nos sale más económico, más barato hacer el monitoreo con las comunidades y mucho más barato hacer el seguimiento y acuerdos con las comunidades que hacer todo un proceso a través de contar con profesionales, institutos de investigación. Nosotros lo hacemos de la mano. Vemos el soporte científico, pero la base es comunitaria. Queremos llegar hacia establecer algo, y ya voy a terminar, sé que son solo 3 minuticos, de lo que nos está comentando Indonesia. Ya hay un centro internacional de trabajo en Tuberas. Unámonos y generemos conocimiento desde esa visión global. Nosotros lo llevamos a nuestro territorio, generamos información y trabajamos en articulación. Y ese proceso de articulación, y ya se los comentaba en una pasada reunión, desde América estamos proponiendo que la base de trabajo sean las iniciativas regionales, que ya contamos con más de 12, 15 años de experiencia, y eso nos permite que vayamos un paso adelante y ya las decisiones, los acuerdos y las actividades van a ser más efectivas. Y corto ahí porque hay más que hablar, pero nada, el tiempo es oro. Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias, Oscar. Mensajes muy potentes, powerful messages that complement well what has been said before. To identify the wetlands is a key priority to characterize them, but insisting the message from Germany as well that conserving is more efficient in economic terms than restoring. So let's conserve what we have in good state before we move into restoration. And producing knowledge, engaging the communities is always also more cost efficient and probably sustainable in the long term, that when we do that without involving the communities. And the invitation is to unite ourselves around the ITPC, the International Tropical Peatland Center, and use the regional initiatives that you already have. Probably these are the ones on the Ramsar, las iniciativas regionales de Ramsar, to work on peatlands as well. I say we have a good announcement. at the closing, but before the closing, we would like to open the floor. We have Brazil, the scientists, the community engagement. We have Cuba, the Dominican Republic. We have Chile, Venezuela. Abigail is here. Aquí está. We have Africa, Uganda. We have South Africa. We have Canada. We have Chile. So let's try those that would like to add something, comment, react to the interventions from our panel. Please feel free to ask for the floor. Please.
Okay. Yeah, good evening. My name is Birgi Lamizana Diallo, and I'm from the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. I want to really comment all the experience and the great work we are doing on the Global Peatlands Initiative, because this is a very important wetland. And I know the work because before joining the UNCCD, I was at UNEP, and I know the Global Peatlands Initiative and the great work from Indonesia, from Peru, from all of us, which is contributing to not only the climate change or the biodiversity, but also contribute on how the work at UNCCD on land restoration is linked to these three. So I think it's an ecosystem, the peatlands, which can unite and be a way of a kind of synergy working within the 3 Rio Conventions. Because the work we are doing on restoration is not only on the emissions, but it's also on land restoration, on preventing the damage if the pit is not well managed. I don't want to be long. I just wanted to add our voice as UNCCD in support of the Global Peatlands Initiative and in support of the Convention of Wetlands, the work they are doing on this peatland, and that we stand ready to support this work and the convention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we are so glad to have UNCCD here because the path from wetland to dryland is very short these days. So we have a connection. The Rio Conventions also include the Convention on Desertification, and the 3 are closely connected to this problematic. I would like to recognize Mr. Jean-Marie Niolo. He's here. He is from the Office of the President of DRC, the Republic Democratic of Congo. Thank you for coming. We met the other day, and so I invite you to make a short comment.
Okay. Merci beaucoup pour la parole. Je suis le conseiller du chef de l'État de la République démocratique du Congo, le président de la République. Et en janvier dernier, j'étais avec le chef au Forum économique mondial à Davos, où il a annoncé la plus grande décision concernant les tourbières. Et il a créé un couloir vert qui s'appelle couloir vert Kivu-Kinshasa, qui comporte 550 000 kilomètres carrés d'écosystèmes terrestres, aquatiques et consorts, qui est classé pour des raisons de conservation et pour des raisons que nous sommes en train d'évoquer ici. C'était une décision courageuse. Vous avez suivi M. Jean-Jacques qui a dit la plupart des endroits où il y a les tourbières, il y a également le pétrole. Et donc la population avait beaucoup d'espoir de trouver beaucoup de richesses dans l'exploitation du pétrole. Mais le gouvernement a décidé autrement. Le gouvernement a choisi l'économie verte. Alors pour compenser le long du couloir vert, cet espoir qui s'est envolé, le chef de l'État a accepté que dans cette aire grandissime, cette aire protégée grandissime, qu'on accepte néanmoins des activités d'une économie verte, du genre production de l'énergie verte, du genre l'agriculture durable, c'est accepté comme activité, et les transferts des nourritures de l'Est à l'Ouest du pays, parce que c'est le couloir qui passe le long du fleuve Congo notamment. Et le fleuve Congo, comme vous le savez, est très très navigable. Et donc la partie Est du pays qui a des sols arables très riches et qui produisent beaucoup de nourriture, peut servir également dans cet échange d'économie à travers la zone. Et ça passe dans la société civile. Et aujourd'hui, tout le monde est d'accord que c'était une bonne idée. Et donc l'idée d'exploitation du pétrole, peu à peu, commence à quitter la tête des gens. Évidemment, le Congo est vaste. Il n'y a pas que le couloir vert où il y a le pétrole. On a le pétrole ailleurs, en dehors de ces couloirs. Mais ce couloir qui est le plus grand bassin, où nous avons 60 000 km² de tourbières intenses. Notez ça très bien. Je vais vous partager un document à la fin pour que vous puissiez comprendre que nous sommes vraiment déterminés au Congo à construire une politique de sauvegarde des tourbières. Mais évidemment, Monsieur Jean-Jacques vous l'a dit, nous avons besoin de l'accompagnement des partenaires. C'est ainsi que le chef d'État l'a annoncé spécifiquement à Davos, où il y avait des délégations de l'Allemagne, de la Belgique notamment, qui étaient très intéressés. Le programme des Nations Unies pour l'environnement et la FAO, ils étaient aussi très intéressés. Merci beaucoup pour tout ce que vous avez fait pour nous, et je pense que ça va continuer.
Merci beaucoup. Alors, Mr. Diolo was at the Davos Forum in January, and the president announced one of the biggest decisions, that is to create this green corridor from Kivu to Kinshasa, and this is 55,000 square kilometers, and a very rich zone. Many of these peatlands have oil under the soil, so this is a difficult choice, and they have privileged the green economy, the conservation of nature, with some alternatives like the sustainable use, some agroforestry systems, and other solutions. We call that bioeconomy. This is something that is coming in the discussions as well. And they have 60,000 square kilometers of peatlands in DRC. Thank you for that. And I'm happy to discuss also after the event. I have Brazil and Venezuela.
Boas noites. Sou Suelma Ribeiro. Em Brasil, eu gostaria de falar e discutir um pouco com Oscar e Peru também. Caso que em Brasil o conhecimento sobre as tubeiras, eu não vou falar portunhol, só em espanhol. O conhecimento sobre as tubeiras aún está em desenvolvimento. Reconhecemos seu grande potencial de existência, especialmente na região amazônica. Estudos recentes han identificado tubeiras em áreas protegidas, muitas delas ubicadas na franja equatorial brasileira, e que essas áreas enfrentam ameaças crescentes como o fogo e outras ameaças. Brasil já conta com um sistema de classificação, pero necessitamos investir em mapeio, por exemplo. Aí me gostaria de discutir com você como está sendo a experiência de Colômbia ou Peru com essa atividade de mapeio das tubeiras, considerando que é muito importante para que o mapeio das tubeiras na Amazônia especificamente, considerando a necessidade de utilizar metodologias regionais. Ok? Essa é a minha pergunta.
Muito obrigado. We'll collect other questions. Brazil is also a big country on peatlands, and they are starting to to develop the knowledge of peatlands in the country, especially in the Amazonian region. And they are very keen on discussing with Peru, Colombia, and others perhaps, how are you doing the mapping and standardize the methodologies, perhaps a regional methodology for the mapping of the peatlands. Keep that in mind. I'll pass the floor to you after that, but we have Venezuela and Peru scientific community. Venezuela?
Hola, buenas noches a todos. Un gusto. Abigail Castillo Carmona de Venezuela. Gracias a los ponentes por mostrarnos sus experiencias. Venezuela, a partir del mapa que se hizo a nivel mundial, logró identificar que tenemos aproximadamente unos 9 millones de hectáreas de turberas, muchas de ellas también incorporadas en la parte de las áreas protegidas. Sin embargo, también observamos que no están representadas todas las turberas, especialmente las que están en zonas de montaña, falta representarlas. Entonces tenemos que ir a un trabajo de mayor escala, una escala más detallada. Mi intervención particularmente viene a hacer el llamado de la sinergia. Tenemos las iniciativas regionales de altoandinas, de humedales altoandinos, y también tenemos la iniciativa regional de los humedales amazónicos. Y tenemos dos grupos de trabajo paralelos también, que es la Iniciativa Andina de Montañas, para el caso de los Andes, y tenemos la Organización del Tratado de Cooperación Amazónica en el caso de la Cuenca Amazónica. Es decir, podemos generar a través de estas 5 grandes líneas una buena visión regional sobre cómo abordar los temas de las turberas en términos globales o en términos, en este caso, subregional. Gracias.
Excellent. Yes, please. And the gaps in the information, we have this global atlas, but there are some gaps that we need to fill. That not everything is reflected, especially the highlands, highland peatlands in Venezuela at least, and the call is for synergies. So following what Oscar said, you have the regional centers, but also you have ACTO, the Amazonian Treaty Organization that has, unifies the 8 Amazonian countries, and you have the initiative of the Andean Mountains that is also for the probably 5 countries, or from Chile to all the Andean countries. So there are different options for synergies, and we should use these options for the work on peatlands. Thank you.
Buenas noches, Héctor de Perú, pero estoy aquí representando también al programa de certificación profesional de la Sociedad de Científicos de Humedales. Quería dejarle una pregunta a todo el panel, y por esa razón lo voy a hacer primero en español. Considerando la velocidad en la que se mueve todo el ecosistema, la velocidad en la que cambia el aspecto político y económico, ¿creen ustedes que es la mejor forma tener una estrategia para 10 años? Quizás es algo que deberíamos de pensar en años, digamos, en un tiempo más corto. Vu la vitesse dans laquelle il y a les changements climatiques, il y a aussi des changements politiques et économiques, vous croyez que c'est la meilleure façon de traiter ce problème pour 10 années, ou peut-être moins de temps, je ne sais pas? Do you think that the best way to do this is taking the problem and a strategy for 10 years? Maybe we should do something, you know, not for that big period of time, because ecosystems change very fast. Also, scientific new things, and also technology. So do you think the best time is to having a strategy for 10 years? Gracias.
Thank you, and thank you for asking the question in the 3 languages. I'm talking about time. I'm a bit concerned about time. So we were supposed to finish half an hour ago. We are happy to stay, but we don't want to lose it. So if you are happy to stay, we stay. Okay, so because they need to respond quickly, and then we have the closing remarks and the announcement from Peru. But we have Line, yes? Please prepare the pisco while you...
Ok, si como Hector tiene una pregunta para el panel. My vision, how do you, if we want this peatland breakthrough to work and be real, how are you planning to bring to the table the petrol industry and the mining industry? Okay, because like my vision, what I see, and first, like, you know, Canada, Russia, and Alaska, we have 67% of the peatlands in the world. So like close to 350 million hectares of peatlands out of that 420 are Russia and Canada. We want, like all of us, we all want more energy. So Canada, I tell you, Alberta is increasing its oil production. It's all in peatland country. I'm sure Russia is doing the same. So we are increasing. And then what else? After that, we want cleaner energy. What means cleaner energy? We do it in the province of Quebec, where I'm from. That means flooding peatlands. Okay, so we will not conserve them. So we're flooding. It's a balance. So there's a lot of issues there. And so we're doing that. And then we hear about Congo. But I just read yesterday from The Guardian, you'll see that again, dealing with the oil and gas, that the government is launching a licensing for 52 fossil fuel blocks to oil and gas drilling bids. So these are big lobby. And I've been in the peatland of Peru, and you have all these big multinational mining company that I know are in the peatlands also. So I think we need, like, I'd like to know how you are going to bring the petrol and the mining industry to into the discussion for this peatland breakthrough.
Thank you, important question. Perhaps we won't be able to respond all the questions in detail, but this is good start of a longer conversation that will continue through emails, and we are probably recording your data here. And we have this on YouTube, so we'll be able to see that again. But okay, so who want to start to react to the questions on the methodologies for mapping, on the timeline for the strategy? I don't think the strategy is to start doing things in 10 years. It's between, but we are doing things now. And we have the synergies. We have this arbitrage between oil extraction, peatland conservation, and how to engage private sector, how to manage this. So who would like to? El mapeo, yeah, I say that that was the first one, el mapeo. Marco.
A ver, el caso creo que el caso de mapeo Colombia lo puede resolver, pero acaban de salir de un ejercicio de manera global en Colombia sobre inventario de transferencia de capacidades sobre inventario de humedales en general, y que cada país lo está traduciendo. Es evidente que en el caso peruano hay un ejercicio atrás con JICA, con el JAB y otros actores que han comenzado, la propia iniciativa, a comenzar a caracterizar, y en el caso específico para turberas. Entonces ahora Perú puede decirte el número de hectáreas de turberas a nivel de detalle, ¿no? Entonces, eso es por un lado. Respecto al timing de las políticas, claro, yo no voy a responder por los otros países, pero la institucionalidad en el Perú, si tú te fijas, la institucionalidad técnica del Ministerio del Ambiente, del Servicio de Áreas Protegidas y de los sectores de los ministerios técnicos no tienen cambios, más allá de las cabezas políticas, pero no tienen cambios en el sentido del planteamiento de la hoja de ruta que se plantea. Si uno se fija como tal, la política del cambio de mi director anterior por 10 o 11 años en el cargo. O sea, no hay. O sea, yo sí apuesto a una estrategia de ese tipo. Porque son los técnicos. O sea, yo puedo tener un cargo de confianza ahora. Yo fui guardaparque. Entonces, fui jefe de la Reserva Nacional de Junín, de varios sitios Ramsar. Entonces, si tú te fijas, hay una institucionalidad en las personas técnicas que construyen estas capacidades. El gran tema de quienes se sientan con respecto a la mesa, a discutir en la mesa, creo que las convenciones y el propio desarrollo en cada país, si ustedes se fijan, nos sentamos a conversar siempre los verdes, o sea, los ambientales. Sí, y ese es un problema, o sea, porque no hemos avanzado más allá de eso. O sea, y eso hay que reconocer con respecto a las actividades extractivas. Entonces, uno puede estar construyendo la estrategia regional de diversidad biológica subnacional y son los mismos, la cooperación, las ONGs, ambientalistas. Entonces, es como cómo se sientan en la mesa los otros sectores. Y yo creo que los otros sectores, en muchos de los casos extractivistas, están esperando esa respuesta nuestra y esa capacidad nuestra de comenzar a ordenar las cosas y tener la claridad de las intervenciones. Creo que eso están esperando y invitarlos a sentarse a la mesa. ¿Sí? Entonces, yo creo que hay un ejercicio que no lo estamos haciendo. Entonces, por ejemplo, Perú acaba de establecer la línea base ambiental. Y creo que eso marca un hito para el desarrollo de las diferentes intervenciones o de diferentes actividades productivas. Porque ya no es sobre la empresa que desarrolla el estudio de impacto ambiental, sino es sobre la base de la línea base ambiental que el país muestra y sobre eso se construye. ¿Sí? Entonces, creo que eso puede ayudar un poco en las respuestas.
I didn't pick the first part. It was too difficult. Sorry.
Thank you. We'll try to summarize. The first part was on the mapping. They have experiences to share with Brazil, and they have done some mapping with the support of Japan, JICA, and others. So they can share with his team the examples for Brazil. On the timeline, he thinks continuity is important, and the technicians, they don't change a lot. Normally, science remains, private sector remains. What changes is the high-level political leaders. So probably that's a part of what you were asking. And then on the last part.
Yeah, he was stressing the need to put all the actors around the table, but this is missing. It's something that is not being done, and but all the actors are just waiting for being brought around the table.
Yes, just speaking among ourselves, people that thinks alike, we may prepare beautiful strategies that are undermined for powerful people talking to other. Let's change to Africa now. Perhaps Jean-Jacques, you would like to comment?
Yes, just a little bit comment about the timeline of peatland strategy. Now, the problem that we have is this one. With the process like Red Plus process, all the country knew by which kind of phases they were supposed to begin when they were building their own Red Plus strategy. For example, they can begin by the readiness phases. But with peatland, this is not the case because we are in the new thematic. Even ourselves as country, we are also discovering what is peatland and what kind of strategy that we can build. Here we have Indonesia, we have Peru, we have Brazzaville, we have also Kinshasa, but all this country, we don't have the same definition of peatland. You know, you understand? So it means that each country will have his own speed. It means that each country can decide how long will be the peatland strategy. For me, I will need a very long time, a strategy that can take, for example, 10 years. Now, Madam, it is very important to bring on the negotiation table all those actors from private sector. Maybe we can discuss together. Even when we are talking about oil that we can find on the peatland, it will be useful for us as country to discuss with private sector and to fund with them some kind of itinerary on the green development and implementing, let's say, green activities that can be useful also for local communities and indigenous people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we had the Spanish interpretation already. Hay que traer al sector privado a la mesa también. Y los países van a varias velocidades. Hay que tratar de coordinar esto, pero sin ser tan prescriptivos que frenamos a los que van rápido y no logramos apoyar, acelerar a los que van despacio. La cuestión del ritmo es importante. Oscar.
Gracias. Por cuestión de tiempo voy a tratar de responder muy corto. Creo que con mi intervención alcanzo a atender las cuatro inquietudes. Y parte del ejercicio fundamental y prioritario es el que decimos nosotros en términos de mapificar. Para mapificar tenemos que tener homogeneidad en la identificación de esas turberas. Hay ejercicios que ya vienen caminando para dar respuesta a la segunda pregunta, y esos ejercicios, Abigail lo sabe, que a través de la iniciativa de humedales amazónicos estamos generando unos procesos metodológicos para siquiera identificar los humedales en la región. Es el primer paso. Así lo podríamos hacer en torno a la identificación de turberas, partiendo de los ejercicios que han adelantado tanto en Perú, en los ejercicios que nosotros tenemos, y el cómo utilizamos tecnología para que ese ejercicio pueda ser más rápido. Y en el marco de todo ese proceso, vamos a dar respuesta a la tercera inquietud, es cómo se vincula lo sectorial y en especial el sector petrolero. En todo ese camino que hemos recorrido, y sobre todo de los 10 años que les comentaba, siempre es coincidente el interés de las petroleras en los humedales, porque ahí hay petróleo. Al interior del país hicimos unos ejercicios invitando primero a la Agencia Nacional de Hidrocarburos, que es la entidad estatal que da la orientación, la gestión del petróleo a nivel nacional. Ellos sacan a ruedas de negocios unos bloques y incorporan esos procesos en términos sectoriales para que lleguen las multinacionales e inicien los procesos de exploración y explotación de hidrocarburos. El primer acuerdo fue con ellos de todos los bloques del país sacar los humedales para que se den esas rondas de negociación. Primer paso. Fácil, jamás, jamás, jamás lo es, y precisamente ustedes lo estaban diciendo, vamos a velocidades diferentes. Los petroleros van como un jet, nosotros vamos caminando. La diferencia es grande. Pero ¿eso qué implica? Hay que dar pasos pequeños pero seguros, unos acuerdos iniciales para vincular a lo sectorial en el proceso. ¿Se puede? Sí se puede. Sin embargo, es un poco difícil y hay que trabajarlo. Pero en el marco de lo que se está proponiendo y de esas alianzas, podemos establecer unas orientaciones o líneas de trabajo para llevarlas en cada uno de los países y empezar a avanzar frente a la gestión de estos ecosistemas. Y ustedes lo han comentado, es muy importante el tema de cambio climático, adaptación o como le queramos llamar, para nosotros es importante el cómo tenemos esta información y la negociamos para saber que nos podemos cambiar de ser capturadores de carbono a ser emisores de carbono. Eso es una negociación súper fundamental para priorizarlo en cada uno de los países y que podamos ir avanzando. Gracias.
Muchas gracias. Francisca está tomando notas y creo que nos va a contar en resumen.
Sí. So he was stressing the need to have standards for mapping, to have a common approach, and there are exercises that are ongoing. He mentioned the Amazon Initiative, which is mapping the wetlands of the region, and with different efforts from Peru and others. In order to speed up, we need to share knowledge and have joint action. Then he mentioned about the petrol sector, and that wherever you have peatlands, you have the petrol sector that is interested. So this is a big clash between the two sectors. And there was a dialogue started with the hidrocarburo, the agency of in charge of I don't know in English hidrocarburo, como se dice, de petrol. And there was, it was not an easy dialogue and discussion because they go much faster than us, so there is a complete disalignment. But there is a potential to create an alliance and give specific directions. And finally, he was stressing the need to push for the message that peatlands are not emitting carbons, but storing carbon. So pushing this argument of climate change, adaptation as key for the protection of these ecosystems.
Thank you. I saw that hydrocarburos is hydrocarbons.
Hydrocarbons, there you go.
Good. And staying until that late shows your engagement. That shows that probably we need more time for peatlands in the Ramsar Convention, so we are going to explore options with the Secretariat and partners about this for future COPs and committees. This is very encouraging. Thank you all. I know we have more to say, but we don't have time tonight, so we'll continue this conversation online and during other opportunities that we will have. So now we'll move to the closing remarks, las palabras de cierre de parte del director de Biodiversidad de Perú, Marco Antonio Arenas, por favor.
Nuevamente agradecer a FAO, a PENUMA, a UNEP, a todos los que han apoyado, y en especial al equipo también del Ministerio del Ambiente que está trabajando. En estos momentos están haciendo en línea en Perú y a todo el equipo de la dirección que ha estado trabajando, liderado por Mario Menéndez, que nos acompaña, y también agradecer y felicitar a Cisca por todo el esfuerzo de la preparación de este Side Events. No saben la cantidad de horas y esfuerzos que Cisca ha estado liderando con Mario, coordinando para que se haga realidad. Les doy las gracias a todas y a todos. Quiero resaltar 3 temas claves que creo que es importante marcar. Pensar en lo regional, creo que es clave. Varios países van adelantando, otros países van a diferentes velocidades, y creo que eso en realidad no es un problema, más bien es esa diferencia ayuda a que lo regional funcione, ¿sí? La riqueza de las diferencias hace que podamos atender de manera distinta los problemas que cada país después va enfrentando. Eso solo nos permite lo regional, y desde ya Juan Pablo, en los esfuerzos que desarrollan y la mirada de esa estrategia, creo que nos va a ayudar como un colectivo de países con las singularidades de cada país, ¿sí? Eso es importante. No perder de vista en esa mirada regional, tan igual como lo dijo Oscar, en el sentido de que los países, los ministerios del ambiente brindan lineamientos, orientaciones. La gestión de la biodiversidad, la gestión de los humedales es en el territorio, ¿sí? ¿Son los gobiernos subnacionales? ¿Son las comunidades nativas? ¿O son los actores o titulares de derecho que son los que gestionan? Entonces, eso está asociado a que esos organismos que damos lineamientos y orientaciones tengan esa institucionalidad y esa credibilidad en el territorio para que funcione, ¿sí? Entonces, otra vez, lo regional funciona para generar mejores mecanismos, porque las respuestas ya de repente alguno de los países ya la resolvió, ¿sí? Resaltarlo, acabo de recibir un correo por parte de Wetlands Internacional felicitando que Perú asume este compromiso de país champions en avances en turberas, y creo que eso resalta el esfuerzo que estamos trabajando, pero en lo cual creo que todos nos debemos sumar a ese barco, y con todo lo que han indicado Venezuela, Congo y todos, creo que deberíamos ser parte de ese liderazgo y ese desafío. En este caso políticamente se da ese respaldo, y también técnicamente de la dirección, bienvenidos esa decisión de invitarlo a Perú a ser parte, y la decisión política de dar respuesta a esa invitación, por los avances que también se tienen. Y por último, yo no sé si más bien Juan Pablo lo indican, que creo que este esfuerzo de este proceso, como el caso CISCA, construyendo la estrategia, tenemos un evento, creo que en todo caso ustedes lo lanzan en Iquitos, pero mejor se lo dejo a ustedes. Y nada, desde ya agradecerles por estos temas tan importantes, y en especial resaltar el tema de las turberas y la importancia de que no solo tengamos una sola lectura de carbono, no solo tengamos una lectura de biodiversidad, sino tengamos una lectura de lo que la hectárea de la unidad productora, como se le dice en el Perú, al ecosistema, que en este caso el ecosistema turbera genera, produce, y que en nuestro caso genera bienestar. Muchas gracias a todas y a todos.
Muchas gracias. Mientras Francesca toma notas, Marco Antonio se aprendió el nombre de Cisca, pero el mío no. Me llamó Juan Carlos, no, pero no, es un detalle. Francisca.
So the first point was a call to, well, there was a thank to UNEP, FAO, and Ministry of Environment for the efforts. And then he was stressing that it's important to think regionally. Countries go to different speeds, but diversity is richness. So we need to stress this regional approach. And then he was mentioning that the Minister of Environment is seeking alignment with everybody, but the peatland conservation is a very local issue that requires the collaboration with the local administrations, local communities. Another point was he said that he got a thank you email from Wetlands International, my colleagues, for championing the peatlands breakthrough, but he wanted to share this appreciation with also the other countries, because this is a joint effort. And finally, he stressed again that this is not just a carbon or a biodiversity issue, but it's an ecosystemic issue that generate benefits, and we need to stress this point.
Thank you very much. On behalf of FAO, Wetlands International, the champion countries, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Peru, Colombia, Indonesia, and Mongolia, we thank you for your presence here. We announce what the director mentioned, the meeting of the fourth meeting of the Global Peatlands Initiative will take place in Peru the first week of February next year, coinciding with the celebration of the World Wetlands Day. On the 2nd of February, we'll have a field visit to celebrate, as he said, conservation is on the ground, on the field. So it's important to be on the field. The Ramsar Convention is also the Secretariat. Thank you, because you are also a partner on the peatlands. Thank you for being with us and bringing the Secretary General to the event. And so you are all invited. We have a timeline from now through the COP30 in Belém, UNEA 7 in Nairobi. UNEA is the UN Environment Assembly. and the meeting, we have the meeting in Peru, in Iquitos in February, and the COP of the CMS in March in Brazil, in the Pantanal, which has also peatlands. So we have several opportunities, windows for continuing this conversation. Thank you to all those connected online. I think I will close by reiterating what you all make very important remarks, but one on the private sector engagement. First, you need to engage with the other ministries that are dealing with this to make sure that you are aligned. This is what they mentioned in Colombia, but probably all of you are doing that. You need to liaise with the relevant ministries regulating and managing the mining sector, the oil exploration, and the external trade, finance, etc. That's also important to go with a whole of society, whole of government approach to discuss peatland matters. Thank you again, muchas gracias. Gracias a Cisca, a Emily, a Mario, que han estado detrás de la logística. Y a Juan Pablo, muchísimas gracias a todos. Muy buenas noches. Thank you very much. Have a good night.